All right, welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, the podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city carrier with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. Today, we got the special guest on, just like I promised. It's Saturday for Shrum, so instead of me introducing them, we got
Joshua
two fantastic
Shrum
characters.
is a very talented steward, very
Would you like to introduce
knowledgeable.
yourself?
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. This is one of those podcasts where I listen to every episode. I love what he's putting out there.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. Josh Shrum.
Parcels of Knowledge does a fantastic job.
Texas.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God, we need Article 8 scholars right now.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.
Sometimes we're going to do specific to particular people. So first, two questions. I'm going to ask them together because they're very similar. And you guys can each answer these individually because I think they were supposed to be directed to each of you. So do each of you believe in the importance of the Letter Carrier Political Action Fund, and how many, if you contribute, how much do you contribute if you do contribute to it?
I think the Letter Carrier Political Action Fund, I think it's too bad that it's not a strike fund anymore. And there was a time in my life, my background is actually in politics. A lot of you will know, if you've ever talked to me before, that I worked for a variety of different political campaigns. And there was a point in my life where I completely swore off giving money to politicians ever again. So I think that we can all kind of relate to that. But I would say that the Letter Carrier Political Fund, what's the pain in giving $5 a paycheck? You know, I mean, that's what I do. It's $120 a year, you know, I mean, and I don't go to the gas stations and buy snacks anymore while I'm out on the route. So it's just like, okay, just a little trade-off there. And, you know, hopefully, and I would really like to see them back more independent candidates, because I know that there's a whole slate of independent candidates that are right now running for Congress. I think there's like 19 of them. I would really love to see them back more independent candidates, but yes, I do believe in the Letter Carrier Political Fund.
All right, how about you, John?
Yeah, I give like $5 paycheck. I believe I initially did it just for the T-shirt, like most CCAs do. I think there can be a lot of value in it, right? And that's part of the reason why the AFL-CIO positions are so important and AFL-CIO involvement is so important, because that kind of you're interfacing with politicians at these AFL-CIO meetings. I've been a delegate from my branch, and I've been attending these and built a lot of relationships in the AFL-CIO, and I have gotten to talk one-on-one with our politicians. And in talking with our politicians, like I talked to Colin Allred this May, and he had no idea that Steiner was an ex-FedEx guy, that the Fox was definitely in charge of the hen house, but he gets money from us, and he signed on to 2 HR resolutions, but he didn't sign on to all 5, and I was able to talk to him right there and sell him on the other 3 HR resolutions. That's why the AFL-CIO involvement is important, because if you're a little bitty branch, a politician isn't going to swing by your branch, and your letter carrier political fund money might not be getting what you want it to. But you get to your AFL-CIO meeting where the politicians are actually there to try to, get Labor's endorsement. You get to vote on whether or not to endorse, or which candidate to endorse, so you can actually put them on the spot and say, hey, you took 20 grand from us over the last 2 years, but you've only signed on to this one resolution, right? What the heck, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or be like, hey, maybe you just don't know about these resolutions, right? So it's something where the AFL-CIO, like the Letter Carrier Political Fund, I think it's great. I don't think we use it quite like we're not keeping candidates. We're not keeping candidates accountable when they take our money and then they don't back everything that we want them to back. That's why the AFL-CIO involvement is so important, because it gives teeth to the money It's not just us throwing money at somebody and hoping they do the right thing. We actually get to interface with them and talk to them. And that's why it's especially important if you're from a smaller branch, because again, you're not going to ever meet that politician, but he's going to be there at your Central Labor Council meeting looking for your endorsement, and you can put him on the spot. And if you
Yeah.
believe in the letter carrier political fund, you should have good candidates to the AFL-CIO to make sure that that money is actually getting the letter carrier something instead of just something that people take, that these politicians take for granted, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
sorry,
how
I
much
didn't
do
mean
you
to
pay?
soapbox. Oh, I do $5, I think $5 a paycheck.
You might have covered
Um,
that, but I probably just
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I'm still kind of homeless, so like I could use the money, but also $5, my man, that's less than a pack of cigarettes. So
Well,
like
you guys
I
showed
just
me
want,
up. You
yeah.
guys showed me up because I only pay my lucky number. I pay $1.31.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Every little bit helps. Every little bit.
Hey, yeah, every little bit helps, but yeah, we got to keep our politicians accountable with it. Otherwise, we're just throwing money away, right? And
Yep.
that's why the AFL-CIO positions and involvement is important.
So just before we continue, because I'm going to continue asking questions, I'm just going to apologize in advance. Both me and Badmouth are having internet connection issues. And by the way, John, yours was fine. It didn't actually affect it too much. But just in case in the future, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just like my last video, I might continue to experience connection issues. So hopefully it doesn't make the quality different than it should be. But I'm going to do my best post production to fix it up if it does. So because Margo answered that question first, I'm going to start the alternating questions with John. Um, what does an AFL-CIO delegate do?
I mean, at your branch level, you represent the letter carrier in because the AFL-CIO it's a union of unions. So you show up at these meetings once a month. It's similar to your own branch meeting if you're a local delegate, and you go to these meetings and you're working with delegates from the Teamsters, from the teachers, from the nurses, from AFSCME, the federal employees. You're interfacing with labor outside of the NALC, and you're representing the needs and the wants of the letter carrier. And you're mainly the main thing you're doing is you're also networking, right? So you're like one of the first year when I first moved down to Texas, Molson Coors bottling facility just south of Fort Worth, they were on strike because of their contract. Well, because of the friends I was making at the AFL-CIO meetings, and because I appreciate the fact that they can do that where we can't, and I like a picket line, I would finish work, change out of my uniform, and I would show up and I'd hand out food and loose cigarettes to the strikers down there, right? Well, some of those cats got to know me. So then when we did fight like hell rallies, when we did a vote no rally and stuff, some of those guys and some of those gals knew me from there, and they ended up showing up at our rally, right? That's what this that's the essence of the work that you do in the AFL-CIO if you're an actual active delegate, right? Now, this position, the national AFL-CIO delegate, it took a lot of digging for us to figure out exactly what it does because in our constitution it's one paragraph. I emailed Renfro, Towney, emailed Barner. I finally got a hold of Nicole Ryan, and she broke it down. Basically, what this position, the National AFL-CIO delegate position, is every 4 years at the National AFL-CIO convention, you represent the letter carrier for 3 days. That's all it really is, right? You might write a little pretty inspiring article in the Postal Record afterwards, and they may lean on you to go out and support your state association if there's an AFL-CIO state convention. But really, what this position just does is you represent the national you represent the NALC on a national level at the national AFL-CIO delegate position. I get the impression that this position has largely been treated as a ceremonial one that's generally given to, new jacks who've been through leadership and they want them to cut their teeth, or old folk, like older retirement level folk, where it's like you put in all this work for the NALC for the last 30 years, go to this on our behalf, right? And it's something where I don't like that, and it's not to insult anyone who came before us, but we cannot afford ceremonial positions. I'm sorry, Josh. We can't
Yep.
we can't afford to keep doing the same old thing that we've been doing, right? We need people who know what a picket line looks like. It can't just be making phone calls from air conditioned office to air conditioned office. We need to change our strategy.
I
And
think,
yeah. Sorry, I could go on forever. So
yeah.
sometimes you gotta just tell me to shut up, brother. I
Well,
won't take it personal.
I think I'll do a reaction. I'll do one of these when you've made your point. And
Fair enough.
I don't
Yeah,
think
ask
nobody's going to be
Margo.
able to see that in the video, but
Yeah. Ask
yeah.
Margo. You literally got to tell me to shut up sometimes, and I will not take it personal.
Well, what's funny is you got a little bit of the next question into your answer, but I'm still going to ask Margo anyway. Um, your slate says these positions have become ceremonial. What do you mean by that?
Ceremonial, as in the sense that, like, most of the time, the people who get elected are people who have already sort of worked their way up the food chain of the NALC. Necessarily, like, a lot of the times, they're branch presidents, they're trustees, they're national figures within the unions, like presidents of big branches, and people who hold really high positions. But I think that the reason why we on our slate decided to throw our hat into the ring is because we want to show that there is room for table two carriers, right? We want to start building the bench. We want to start building the bench for table two carriers, showing table two carriers that they can get involved and that there's a place for them within the union. So even yeah, so that's basically what we mean by ceremonial. Is that there are a lot of the times I don't feel like a ton of people run for them. I'm not super duper like interested, or I'm not super familiar with the history, excuse me. But yeah, a lot of the times they end up being ceremonial positions. Like, we send the delegates, some of our best and brightest people that have been doing this for a long time, to the AFL-CIO conference. Then they write us an article in the Post Record, and so we want to clear up the space for table two.
All
Yeah,
right.
it should be active. We
Yeah.
can't afford ceremonial. It should be active, and it should, yeah, like Margo was saying, it should be people who are in the streets organizing, which is a thing that our union is not good at. And everyone on our slate is doing that already. So why not step in and try to do that officially for the NALC?
Okay. You know what? That covers a little bit of the next question. They didn't get these questions ahead of time, just to let everyone know. But it's still going to John anyway. Why should convention delegates, NALC members in general, I guess they mean convention delegates because they're the ones who are going to nominate, I guess. But why should they replace our experienced officers with members of your slate instead?
I love this question so much, and I'm going to try to say this in the most diplomatic way. So just so everybody knows, delegates, according to Nicole Ryan's office, presidents generally vote in block for these positions at convention. This isn't something that's going to be on the ballot that you get when you vote for national president or other positions. This is going to be decided at convention, and presidents of branches generally vote in block for their branch. Now, delegates, they can have a conversation as a branch, and they can elect to where the delegates vote individually, right? So that's kind of how it breaks down. So that's how the voting for this works. Now, why they should vote for us as opposed to the people who have been doing this for a while, simply because how things have been done hasn't been working. Union involvement, I think I heard the other day, it went from 30% 15 years ago to Margo, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
30%.
I think, yeah. You're good.
30% 15 years ago to something around bobbing around 6 or 8% or 9% right now. We are on life support. I think anyone paying attention to the NALC right now and labor in general, we are on life support. We're constantly under attack. The NALC is a very siloed union. We are a giant union, but we don't really do a whole lot outside of our initial, outside of what's right in front of us and what directly applies to us. And there is a lot of people out there that we could use their help and they could use ours. Not just someone in an air conditioned office who's held a position for 15, 20 years, 30 years, writing a statement in support of somebody. Like someone who's people who are actually in the street, the people in labor outside of the NALC, outside of the APWU, outside of the mail handlers, outside of the rural craft, outside of the post office, knows you, knows us, and can help us with stuff. That's how, like, you hear people talking about, like, organizing Amazon, and they'll just say we're in solidarity with Amazon plants that are trying to unionize. But you know who's actually at that Amazon plant trying to unionize them? That is people in the AFL-CIO, people that know us because we're there for them. Why should you support us over the people who've been doing this stuff for a while? Because we need a gosh darn change. And we're already doing the actual street level work. The office approach has not been working for us.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's see. Yeah, just to let you know, when I do that thing, I'm not telling you to be done. You have the choice to
that's the wrap it up sort of thing. I get it. I appreciate it.
Just so it's not like 2 hours.
Yeah. You're good.
Let's see.
I appreciate that.
Margo, your slate are running 6 candidates for 7 elected positions. Who should the 7th seat be?
Whoever wants to step up. I mean, whoever's in table 2 and wants to step up.
Okay. Wow, that was short and sweet. All right. All right. So, let's see, John. Are you 6 independent candidates supporting one another, or are you committed to voting together as a block?
I mean, if we're talking about voting for other positions, we all had this conversation and we voted that we are not going to be endorsing other candidates and other positions. We are not going to be voting in block personally. There's people I'm going to vote for that Margo might not vote for. There's going to be people that Murph votes for that Presampieri might not vote for. We want to make sure these positions are really important to the NALC membership. Like, they're all important to the NALC membership, but like, I think we're all disgusted, frustrated, tired, and bored of the partisan politics and national politics outside of our union, and that's kind of leached in. We want to make sure that our run for these positions is separate from that. So, we're not endorsing anybody else. We've had, people know my personal feelings about some candidates, right? But that's not reflected by the whole slate. Right. And we're not weighing in on that. We're running as a slate together because we have a lot. We're table 2. B, we're already doing a lot of organizing outside the NALC already. So we're already doing the work, and we share a lot of the same values, even if we might quibble on what the priority is or quibble on the details of those values. We share the same values, and we also work really well together. And like, that's part of the reason why, like, I'm so happy that Margo's here, is because she can talk about stuff that I talk about. And like, we're both talking about the same stuff, but there's going to be people who are annoyed as hell by me and don't want to listen to me, but they might listen to Margo. And
who could
Margo,
ever be annoyed listening to you, John?
Oh, I can't imagine it either. But like, but it's also something where like Margo has a different set of skills in her background and how she organizes than I do. I'm an old school organizer. I'm an on the street guy who's able to like whip together. I'm good at putting together a team, but I'm not a specialized person. Margo comes from a completely different type of street level organizing background that I'm not necessarily good at. So when we're talking about something and I'm like, okay, I'm out of my depth here, I can ask Margo. I'm out of my depth here, I can ask Chris, because we share the same values, right? And but and we have different connections outside of the NALC in our brother, sister, cousin, family unions that aren't necessarily related to us, and we can always use that stuff. Joshua Town is my favorite example. Like he's been doing a bunch of work outside the NALC in labor solidarity type stuff. And I've sent people to him from down here in Texas. I got to know he's built relationships with them and gotten contacts and built relationships with other people in their circle that I don't know. So if I want to talk to teachers, I'm going to call up Townie because he's got a relationship with the teachers. He's got a relationship with the nurses. I'm an old like I've been wearing steel toes since 16. I've had calluses on my hands since 17, and I've been in a union since I was 18. So it's something where like I know the trades. I know the trades, but when a question about nurses or teachers come up, I call Townie because he's got a relationship with those cats. Chris has a relationship with people in SAG-AFTRA, and he's got a relationship with people up in the Northeast. So like that's the thing. We're not voting in block for other positions, and we're not endorsing people in other positions. We are a Slate specifically because we share values. We have a different. We each have our own skills, so no one has to be no one has to be perfect at everything. We can lean on each other because when you're organizing something like this and you're trying to organize something like this, you got to look at it like a heist. If we're all crack safes or all safe cracks, when it comes time to get away from the bank or casino or whatever, we're going to be taking a bus. If we're all getaway drivers, well, hell, we're going to be showing up in style and leaving in style. But how are we going to get in that safe? Right? You need to look at the team you build around you and see whose skills complement what. And I think everyone on the slate is very good at that. And that's why I love and appreciate these people. And that's why we put together the slate.
All right. Now, Margo, what issues could cause members of the stand-up slate to disagree publicly? Is there any big disagreements?
Well, what I will say, I love every member of the stand-up slate, and there are for sure a couple of strong personalities in there that have butted heads before. I know that, yeah, just like he said, we don't agree on every single thing. I think that some of us are different political persuasions. Some of us are it's a spectrum, it's a chart, and we're not all like one on top of the other on top of the other, right? Like it's a spectrum. And so and all of us were voting for there's a lot of people who are supporting different candidates for NALC president. There's people that are supporting different people for director of safety and health, and like all sorts of there's all sorts of disagreements. But I think that the really important thing, just like Badmouth said, like is the fact that our values keep us together at the end of the day. And yeah.
All right. Since the AFL-CIO convention is not until 2030, what will you be doing with the 4 years before it?
I'll be doing the same thing I'm doing right now. I will be showing up at every picket line that is within driving distance of me. I will be continuing to build relationships outside the NALC. I will continue to be being a loudmouth, talking about letter carrier issues when interfacing with labor outside of this. I will continue to be doing the stuff where, hey, this is a really important topic. I'm going to put you in contact with Townie or Greg Samuelek or like someone so we can get your message out and why that's important to the letter carriers, why that's important to everyone else. I'm going to keep doing the work that I'm doing, right?
Okay.
And I will be. And also one of the things I would like to see this position by next convention, we actually put in some details in our constitution and job duties of this delegate. So it's not a ceremonial thing. So that all the extra work that I'm already doing right now that I plan to continue to do is actually something that is the duties of this position, rather than just being a ceremonial vacation for some people every 4 years. I talk to people all the time, and they're wanting me to convince them that there is utility and value in joining the AFL-CIO, and there is so much there that I don't think a lot of people take advantage of. So when people tell me that there's no value in it, that's not a mechanical issue, that's a user issue. And our union, this type of organizing is something that there are people at National who are really good at it, but they don't ever do it because it's just something that the NALC hasn't done for the last 20 years. We can't keep doing the same thing, and you can't keep doing status quo nonsense and expect radical results. You need people who are visible, vocal, and getting involved outside of this. And we're already doing that on this slate. That's what I'm going to continue doing. Even if you don't elect me, I'm still going to be doing that dang work. However, if you elect me, I can say, hey, I'm a national AFL-CIO delegate for the NALC. That opens a couple more doors.
Looks
That
like
gives a
Margo
little bit
had
more
something to
weight.
say too.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
well,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to. No, you're good. You're good. I just wanted to throw in there that there's people like us, there's people like Badmouth, there's people like Chris, and there's people like the members of our slate that are members of the AFL-CIO from other unions that want to show up to your stuff, right?
Yes.
And it's only fair that we also go to their stuff to, so that we all build solidarity. Because I see the AFL-CIO as like sort of the forefront of the labor movement, right? It's like the movement for the movement, right? Like it's the convention for the labor movement spanning throughout the entire country, and those people, they want to help. They want to help because it's good for all of us when you help anyone within the labor movement.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do two different questions put together just to abolish two questions instead of one because they're very similar in nature. And this is going to go to Margo. So, do you represent the NALC president at the AFL-CIO convention, or do you represent the delegates who elect you, or the entire rank and file membership? Also, in addition to that, the AFL-CIO rules have permitted national union delegations to cast their votes as block. If NALC leadership wants one position and you believe the membership wants another, what will you be doing?
Ooh, it looks like Jonathan wants to answer the second part of that question, but I will answer the first part when I say that I'm there to represent the rank and file. I'm there to represent the rank and file. That's the whole point of all of this. I mean, obviously, the folks that vote me in that would be amazing. Thank you. And at the same time, I think I would rather represent the entire rank and file, because that's what I'm there for. That's what I'm there for. The majority of the workforce now at this point is table two. The majority of us are not people who go to every single union meeting. The majority of us are not going to be at the convention, for that matter. So I would want to be there for the rank and file because that's us. That's us. So how could I not represent us?
All right. Did John have something to say about that too?
Yeah, so my impression of the position, how it's been done in the past, and this is to echo and prop up Margo's answer because I fully agree. How this seems to have been done in the past. So there's 10 actual delegate positions. You have the national president, I think the EVP, and the secretary. If someone, if I'm wrong, is gonna try to dox me in the comments, I'm sure. Whatever. But then that's why there's 7 at large. So in the past, what it seems like is they show up and they table for the NALC. They talk about the strike in the 70s, and they basically back whatever the president wants, right? Now, like Margo said, we're not there to represent the president. We're there to represent the membership. If we're voted into this stuff, we need to work with the president. But again, whoever's the president, whether it's James Henry, Cariff, Davidson, Renfro, David Noble, whoever it is, we got 4 years to talk to them about what we want to do at that convention, right? So we can put pressure on them to be like, hey, we want to back your play and do this for the letter carrier, but the people who elected us to represent, especially all the people on table 2 who got less than 6 years in, who wanted us in there, these are their concerns. This is what we're hearing from labor outside of this. This is what we're hearing from the people trying to organize Amazon, so the post office can't keep comparing us to people that don't got a union. It's a way that we can bring that to whoever's sitting in the big chair and say, hey, we already did all this legwork. We need you to support us because we represent the delegates and we represent the letter carrier. We represent table 2 and we represent the people who are actually working outside of this union. If the national president has a problem with that, we can have that conversation. We're all diplomatic people. I know I got a reputation, but I get along with most folk as long as we can at least hang up the hatchet when the things work, when we got to work together, even if we're not burying it. But like, that's the thing. We represent the membership, and if the president's on board with that, dope. If they're not on board with that, we got 4 years to talk to them to get them on board with that.
Okay. Well, the next question is going to be for Jonathan, and I think it's actually nice that I don't know, nice. It's interesting it landed on you because I don't think this is really a question we need to be asking you, but I'm going to anyway. Will you publicly disclose your votes, expenses, and meetings connected to the position above and beyond the article that you would write? And would you also publicly reveal the disagreements between you guys and the NALC leadership, even if NALC leadership asks you not to?
I think that's an easy enough question to say yes to, as long as you guys like grainy cell phone pictures of a crumpled up receipt. And as long as and as long with the caveat that I have no problem talking about disagreements. I work with people all the time that I disagree with, and like you asked a question earlier about like when we have public disagreements, like Murphy and I have butted heads like sons of guns in the past, but we get along because we're still moving in the same direction, even if we're dancing in that direction using different steps or whatever. But like that, I think is important. That's transparency. That's transparency that the membership wants and craves and desperately needs. And at the end of the day, that's transparency that the membership fucking deserves. So yeah, if I got like if I got a disagreement with somebody, I will do it in a very professional, diplomatic way. But I can say like, hey, we butted heads on this over here, but they were willing to back us on this. That seemed more important. So we kind of laid down our arms on this issue over there. I got no problem being transparent about that stuff. I'm not. That's yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
I just wanted to say also that the entire birth of the reform movement, like think 2023 within the NALC, was founded on this concept of transparency. So what would we run for this position for if we didn't plan to reform? If we didn't plan to do things differently, what's the point? Right?
That part.
Like if we wanted to do the transparency, if we want to be the change that we wish to see within the union, what's the point of running for this position at all if we're not going to show the transparency, show the receipts, explain the issues that we disagree with each other and or like the NALC, on like
So this next question, I have 4 different questions about the 32-hour work week, and I'm just going to smash them together, and you both can figure out how you want to answer that. And then we're going to go straight into our specific questions for each candidate. So here's the 4 questions. I'm going to put them together. What would a 32-hour work week look like for letter carriers while maintaining 6-day delivery? How do you prevent shorter work weeks from producing more forced overtime, understaffing, and additional non-career positions? Some carriers say we cannot consistently obtain an 8-hour day now. Why should they believe a 32-hour work week is achievable? And would the 32-hour work week apply equally to CCAs, PTFs, and career regulars?
Margo, I'm so glad you're here for this. Lay it
Okay.
out. Lay it out. And
Yeah.
I can wrap up at the end with a little cheerleading if you need to.
Okay. So, what was the first question?
Well, essentially, they're asking, first of all, how would it look like while we also have 6-day delivery? Which I think they're implying. Are you suggesting that we have an additional T6? Because the way our current work schedule looks like, if we're going to keep 6-day delivery, there would be missing time. With one less day, of course. They're also asking, how do you prevent it from forcing overtime, and it's going to create understaffing or additional non-career positions potentially. They're asking about whether or not, they have a hard time getting 8 hours today when they're an 8-hour carrier because they're being forced. Why should they believe it's achievable?
Right, right. I didn't have 8 hours today either. I mean, I'm on the overtime list, so I kind of asked for it. But like, so so yeah, I mean, that would involve making significant changes. Obviously, we still support 6-day delivery because that's what helps. But yeah, like the having an extra T6 position, I mean, it would mean that we would need more staff, right? And a lot of the post offices right now are facing severe understaffing. A lot of people, are mandated to high heavens. But it would also mean that we would need to work on that issue, right? That it would mean forcing a reckoning on the staffing issue as well. Um, Having an extra T6 would be another regular position that would help CCAs get converted. Like right now at my office, we have a lot of PTFs. We hire straight to PTF, but like we could convert those people and give them a regular position. I feel like in many places it's going to be a while before some of these positions get converted, which is not a good thing. I would and how would we have hope? How would you have hope that this is going to happen? What I will say, I'll take a little trip back in labor history. So I mean, there was a time where the status quo was working 16-hour days, right? The status quo was working 16-hour days, and a lot of the times they said, hey, this isn't right. We should work 12-hour days. And I bet a lot of people looked at them and said, hey, you're being lazy. What are you do? You don't want to work. You ain't got no work ethic. And then so like the next step was 10-hour days. So essentially, like eventually people like oligarchs essentially settled on a 40-hour work week because he found that people were more productive and had more free time to buy things. But then that was codified in 1938. So if you look at things like on a scale, we have gotten so much more productive since 1938. We are orders of magnitude more productive. We spend less time in the office casing, and we spend more time on the street with longer routes, and we cover more houses, delivering more packages than ever before. So I would say that a 32-hour work week is literally just the next step in that sequence. And I think that there was a time where people, just like Jonathan was saying earlier, like the union involvement nowadays is very low, like sub 10%, like involvement, and it's not always a super duper. It doesn't always feel great, but like that's so the NALC already agrees that we need a 32-hour work week as well. So that's already an official bargaining position. I think it was passed in like 1974 as a bargaining position. The AFL-CIO agrees that we need a 40-hour work week, and instead they're trying to settle with us for a 4-day, 10-hour work week, which would also not improve the situation. So yeah. So I want to hear what Jonathan has to say.
Yeah. Okay. To cover that question, how will we do that? It's crazy, right? It's crazy. 32 hours worth of work for 40 hours worth of pay. It creates the extra T6 position. How would that apply to CCAs and PTFs? Well, if there's an extra T6 position that solves some of the CCA PTF issues. Again, the issues with staffing that we have right now. That cat's adorable. Sorry to people just listening. There was a cat, and I have bad ADHD. In any case, shit. Where was? Pardon my language. I'm trying to campaign. Okay, so like like Margo was saying, though, 60 hours to 60 hours of 40, that seemed like pie in the sky nonsense. And we eventually got it. We look at, you even look from a pragmatic point of view. I think it was some folks in Japan. They broke down like how much work you actually get out of a person in an 8 hour shift. And after 6 hours, it was kind of a waste of time. So the ultimate thing was 6 hours in that day, right? There's a whole lot of science to back up this stuff. Is it going to be hard to do? Yeah, but look at what they just tried to float was 410s, where it's still a 40-hour work week, but you're working 10 hours straight time. That's a nightmare. I work down here in Texas. Do you understand how much gas I got left in the tank after working 8, 9, 10 hours? And I'm just getting paid straight time for that. Where there is a will, there is a way. Our national just tried to look about doing that to us, right? They could do the 32-hour and get us paid for 40 if they wanted to, but they don't. There's not a will. There's not a will, right? And the other thing is, even if after all of that, even if you think that our national, and like, I know we got a lot of people they're voting for people who are saying that they're going to be able to be badasses at the arbitration table. And like, everyone says that they can get a better deal than Brian Renfro got. And I believe almost all of them. But the thing is, A, you don't, here's where I land on with it, right? You don't create a good society by trying to create a good society. You aim for utopia and you land on great. If you aim for good, you land on survival. That's how this works. I use boxing analogies all the time, so pardon me, but Mike Tyson didn't throw the swings that he threw. He didn't throw the haymakers that he threw by punching someone in the nose. He aimed for the back of their head through their face. And that's how he got them that's how he hit them so hard in the nose, right? If we just accept the baseline of survival, we are going to get a contract, we are going to get a lifestyle that is less than what we need to survive. I am so tired of this conciliatory, defeatist nonsense where, oh, a better world actually isn't possible. Just be happy you have a job. Bitch, get out of here with that, right? And Margo was bringing up the K-shaped economy, right? This isn't the same job it was 10 years ago. It's not the same job it was 20 years ago. We are carrying mail on the street for 7 of our 8 hours if you're lucky enough to get an 8-hour shift, right? You're not casing mail for half your route. That's why you need table 2 people talking about this stuff. That's why that representation matters desperately. And like talking about anyone who's listening to this and is kind of a nerd about this stuff, look up K-shaped economy. The K-shaped economy means that profits, we see these corporations year after year recording record profits, while the conditions for the working man, the working ma'am, the working person get worse and worse and worse and worse. And we have been conditioned to not think a better world is possible because all those bastards profiting off the work we do bought up all the media. Someone disagreed with them on Twitter. They bought that and turned it into a white supremacist shithole. The Bezos owns the Washington Post. You got the Ellisons own like 6 different streaming services, 2 different news outlets. We are conditioned to accept what we get and the table scraps. And everyone who's running on some sort of reform-minded idea right now is telling us we deserve more. And on the stand-up slate, we're saying, yeah, we do. The 32-hour work week, even if you're a skeptic, should be something that you look at it as like, let's shoot for that so we can at least get a 40-hour work week that pays us. It's a user error. It's not a mechanical error. We don't have this stuff and everything's a mess because we're not doing what we should be doing already. And I think hoping that they get it figured out I don't want to live in a world where hoping they figure out what we already desperately need is enough. Sorry, I know I was going on.
That's fine. So we're going into this segment where we're going to ask you guys specific questions for those people, and then we're going to go back to this alternating. Which one of you guys wants to go first?
I will.
Okay.
Do it.
What did you learn at Labor Notes that NALC should immediately put into practice?
The solidarity. The solidarity was so important. I'm wearing my Labor Notes t-shirt right now. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, the solidarity was so important. And I was able to speak with so many other members of so many different unions. The Caucus of Rank and File Electrical Workers, the University of Minnesota grad students that just went on strike. I talked to sanitation workers, and like it was so fascinating because a lot of them were facing the same kind of issues that we're facing within the NALC. So it was very enlightening to hear what they were doing that was working. And I think that the number one thing that the NALC could do that I learned at Labor Notes was just the solidarity, I mean, it was a spirit of solidarity. Everyone there was themselves, and instead of like it's hard to describe, but like instead of just constantly being at each other's throats and in like a Facebook comment section, disagreeing with each other and shouting with each other. And I mean, it's one thing to do that in a comradely way, but it's another thing to do it like where you're actively like trying to like take people down in a really nasty way. We can have disagreements, but this entire idea of just the solidarity, the wanting better for your sibling on the line, like that's what I learned at Labor Notes. That I think that it's the culture, right? It's the culture of solidarity and having each other's back.
Now, how would electing more women and younger carriers change the actual priorities of NALC's delegation to the AFL-CIO?
Electing more women is really important because I mean, if you look at our management, if you look at our the top rungs of our union, the presidents and all of I mean, a lot of the people that are even running for a national position right now are not women. And that's pretty historically true. We've never had a woman president, not of the NALC, but like we've never had a woman president like in the like legit White House. So obviously there's years and years to kind of unpack there. But I think that it's part of it. We do have a lot of women that have run for very high level positions, and I don't want to like look down on anything that they've done because it's really great to have them up there. And at the same time, having more women there and showing, I think there was a quote in it from Ruth Bader Ginsburg or whatever, and she was like, "How many women on the Supreme Court would ever be enough?" And she said 9. Like, we need to be right. That would be enough because right? Because we've never had that before. And so also the young carrier thing is also what's really, really important. Because a lot of the folks, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it because a lot of the folks who are in table 1 who have sat in an air conditioned office for a long time at this point are not in touch with the fact that we're struggling down here. And I talk all the time about how the cost of living in Des Moines, Iowa is not super high, and we're still struggling out here. I've got table 2 carriers that have second jobs, table 2 carriers that are working like as much overtime as they can physically possibly get their hands on, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. And so having the representation to actually bring light and shed light and share the fact that we need to do better by our people, I think is the really critical part there.
What barriers are keeping women from moving from participation-oriented roles into actual decision-making positions within the NALC?
I think that there's a lot of barriers that keep women from higher positions. I think that some of it is sexism. Some of it is sexism, not gonna lie. We face a lot of hurdles. A lot of the times the establishment is described as an old boys club, quote unquote. And I think that is not without merits. Because a lot of the times, to a certain extent, like it's really easy for guys to kind of have each other's backs, and I don't really know how that works because I'm not a guy, I'm not there, but like that's sure how it seems from the outside. And I also think that there's a lot of the times where responsibilities in the home, because we still live in an unbalanced sort of society, and I I don't have any kids. I don't have a husband or anything like that. So it's like I face less of those barriers than other women do that are maybe cheering from the sidelines to see other women who are able to get involved with stuff. But I know that it can be really difficult when you've got toddlers at home. You've already got so much on your plate that it's really difficult to it's really difficult to get involved, and those can be hurdles. So until we have more egalitarian society in that respect, when women are getting more help in the home, and I think that that would help more women get involved, as well as the fact that, seeing more women in these positions, if we can break through, if we can get these positions, decision-making positions, or even like starting with a position like this that's a little bit more like a delegation position, I think gives something for other women to look up to. I think that's beautiful.
As both a podcast host and a candidate, will you still have people on your podcast who criticize your slate?
Certainly, I would love to.
All right, that's pretty easy. Now, has your time with the Next Generation Carrier NALC officer interviews changed any beliefs you previously held about the establishment?
I think that there's a tendency sometimes to just see when you're coming from a place where you don't know a lot of what goes on. And sometimes it's hard it's hard because there's not always super clear communication, like all the way down the line. So sometimes when you're in a position where you're not talking to these people, it can be really difficult to be like, so are they all the same? Are they all similar to Renfro? Are they all, do they all believe in the same stuff? And I think that after a certain amount of time, it's been good to get to know certain people and to know that they're not all the exact same. They're kind of like us on our slate. Like they probably butt heads on certain things. They don't all agree on every single thing. But I think that doesn't mean that, like, the stand-up slate, for example, like, should just sit idly by as the people who were already running for this position run, right? Like, I think that it's still our time to shine, right? It's still our time to go for it.
Now, what part of the stand-up platform do you personally find the most difficult to explain or defend, and what criticism of your candidacy do you believe is fair?
I would say the easiest one for me is universal health care, because this is something that I've been tripping about for a really, really long time. I would say that, the 32-hour work week, when you asked me those questions, it's not that I was like stumped or anything, but like, yeah, it is going to take a little bit of creative imagination to kind of figure out how we are going to make that work, right? Like how exactly it's going to look, because I mean, clearly we've got the brains power for it, because like we've got people in the executive committee who are pulling the idea of a 44-day 10-hour work week and like talking about how that's going to be a pilot program. And that's so we've got people who are we've got people who are able to do it, right? And it's just a matter of dreaming big enough. And then what was the other question about
Which criticism about your own candidacy would you believe is actually fair?
I would say the criticism about my own candidacy that's fair is that it would be that I think that a lot of people are really justified in not having a lot of hope. I understand. I understand, like, it does kind of go back to what we were talking about with the 32-hour work week. Like, how am I ever supposed to believe that this is possible? No, it doesn't feel possible. There's always a time when it doesn't feel possible. What is it? First, they laugh at you. I'm completely blanking on the quote right now, but right, first they laugh at you and they tell you, oh, you're silly. And then they start taking you seriously, and then you win, right? Like, it's the process of the steps. And so there's a lot of people who say, you guys are crazy. You guys think that we should be paid however much more. And I can identify with that. Like I said, I come from politics. I've spent a lot of time feeling really hopeless about this stuff, right? And I think that all of us have. And so I think that that's a fair thing. The like contrary aspect that I would add is that just like Jonathan said, like, you shoot for the moon so that even if you don't make it, you land among the stars, And that's what I want to sell is the hope that things can be different.
Okay, one last question. What is your favorite postal podcast?
Next Generation Carriers, obviously. The Women's Roundtable edition.
All right.
But there's a lot of other really good ones out there too. Parcels of Knowledge comes to mind. Classes of Mail is really good. And I mean, I really like I said, I recently became a steward, so like listening to the initial from Ada Arbitration when he's just talking about like I literally started reading the JCAM front to back because Corey Walton's like, when you become a steward, what you do, you take the books with you on your lunch break and you read them cover to cover. So honest to God, I started to do that.
Oh, good.
There's a lot of really good and interesting advice to be found in all of them.
Are you working on your elbow of education for management in the grievance ring?
Yes, yes.
All right, all right. So let's go to Badmouth, Jonathan, whatever he would like to be called. Let's see. Do you still have your parking brick?
No, because that truck finally gave up the ghost, and the VMF just didn't give it back, and I didn't know that I wasn't getting it back, so they took my brick. But I'm on a different route now that actually has curbs, so I can actually curb the thing. But yeah, for a while there, I was working in some places was like, well, I'm either aiming into oncoming traffic or I'm aiming into the drainage ditch. I should probably have this brick. So yeah, I used it as a wheel chuck. Because again, I come from an industrial background and like safety on a job site, especially if you're working like a U.S. Steel facility or something like that, you got to chalk your wheels every time you stop your vehicle, so you just keep them on you. But yeah, I carried around that brick for a little while because I didn't trust it. We're down here in Glencrest. We're the Bad News Bears station in Fort Worth, and it's already Fort Worth, so we we are not going to see those new vehicles for another 20 years. They give us they give us the most busted stuff, and we got to make it work. So I carried a brick for a while as a wheel chuck.
All right. There's a listener submitted a question. I'm not even sure if this is true. I guess I'll just say it. They
Oh,
said
lay it on
something
me, baby.
about. Can you tell us a story about the time you traded Denny's breakfast for the Pall Malls? Is that a thing?
uh, yeah. There's a what was I even doing? Um, oh, I was at a hotel. I was at a hotel and um the corner store was closed. I was out of cigarettes. I think I had a beer or two, and I believe what happened was there was an old timer who was asking me for money because it was two homeless cats trying to make ends meet, and I didn't have the corner store closed, so I couldn't get smokes. Yeah, but I did have a little bit of money because I had just been paid, right? So I paid the hotel room, I paid my cell phone bill, I made sure I had enough gas money to get to work, and so I was like, well, tell you what, you give me that pack of Pall Malls, and I'll buy you a Grand Slam. So it was just something. It was just because here's the thing that a lot of like something if you've never been homeless, cigarettes are like currency, right? Like if I pull up to the side, if there's someone on the side of the road, I don't got any cash to hand them. I'll hand them a couple cigarettes because even if you don't smoke and you're living outside, there's someone who smokes, so you can trade that for something, right? So it was one of those things where this guy didn't even smoke, I don't think. But and I didn't want to just like bum a smoke off him, and I had a little bit of money, and he was hungry, and that's man, like when people need your help, you help them. And that is something I've always lived by, and I have gotten a lot of help from people in my life. And like I honestly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some of the people listening to this podcast. And I have always like when that's what if people want to get into politics and shit, that's what it comes down to me is when people need help, you help them. Dude was
Yeah,
having a hard time. I was having a hard time. He didn't smoke. He had smokes. I had enough cash to buy him a Grand Slam. So I did. And because we're all in this shit together, we're all in this stuff together, we're all taking care of each other. And like, it is so rough out there. And the world is such a hard and cruel place sometimes. And these bastards who make all this money and try to tell us that we should fear each other, that empathy is going to be the downfall of Western civilization, all that garbage is to just keep you from caring about me and to keep me from caring about you. And that, to bring it back to the campaign, that's what the AFL-CIO is for. It's us looking
yeah,
out for other people in labor and them looking out for us. I live that. I would be dead in a ditch somewhere if I didn't live that and if other people didn't live that. For all the hate and all the fucking personal beefs and all the fucking oh shit, I'm campaigning, I shouldn't be swearing. All of that stuff. More people are good than they are bad, and more people want to help you than don't. And we forget that because we're always told that everyone's out to get you. They try to isolate us. And that's what solidarity is. And that's why I love everyone on the slate, because they don't just say the slogan on the wall, they live that shit.
yeah.
If someone needs help, you help them. That's what solidarity is.
Well,
So,
I was always taught that, and I get shit for this in my branch because uh, I have some similar natures as you do in terms of, I don't always make the right choices in terms of like if someone needs help, I'm not going to keep my own stuff. I'm going to
yeah.
help them as well, and it
Oh,
may,
if it's raining
yeah,
outside and you need an umbrella, I'm okay getting wet. I
yeah.
don't care.
Yeah. I was always taught that if your neighbor's hungry, then you're going to be hungry as well. So if you have one meal, now you both have a half a meal.
Yeah, if I
And
got bread,
yeah,
you got bread, brother.
yeah. So yeah, I like that about you. Let's see. I can relate. How does the broader labor movement at the NALC misunderstand uh, at CCAs? What do they misunderstand about CCAs, and is there any issues that can be fixed? I assume that they're trying to draw from the fact that you were on the CCA corner.
Yeah. So the thing is, and it's kind of how the CCA position was sold to me when I first got here. I have a 20 years on and off in the trades. I've worked for the Painters International, Sheet Metal Workers Union, the laborers. Um, they have things called an apprentice, to where you get on a job, you don't know anything, and you get put through training, and you're not paid like you're paid well in these industries. You're paid well. You're paying prorated dues, like half the dues that you normally would, depending on the thing. But they keep training you every 6 months, every year, depending on whatever. So you learn new skills, and you're paired with a journeyman who's going to teach you that stuff. And as you move up in the pay scale, as they've trained you more, and the unions generally do most of the training, you end up paying more dues, and you end up at top scale, right? You end up a journeyman at the end of it. I was sold the CCA position as if it was an apprenticeship. And let me tell you, being an apprentice sucks no matter what industry you're in. When I was in the painters hall, being an apprentice meant that you were washing buckets. All the paint buckets, you were the last one to leave for break, and you were the first one to be back so you could get the guy mixing a clean bucket. All you did all day in Death Valley, California, you wore a Tyvek suit with rubber gloves, half face respirator, and a hard hat and hearing protection in Death Valley, California, while you're sitting on a bucket upside down, and you're washing a bucket with a brush and acetone, just reeking like a meth lab when you left the job site. but you were paid $29 an hour in 2004. And the union, everyone was a dickhead to you because you were getting the shittiest jobs. You were getting the suckiest job, right? But you were getting paid for it. As a CCA, you're getting the worst parts of the worst routes. You're making, when I started in 2023, 1933 an hour. The worst parts of the worst jobs, the worst routes, just treated like dog pucky. I'm trying not to swear, I swear to God. But and not getting paid, you're getting peanuts for it. And the union, in some places they take it real serious and they're great at it. I want to shout out Gus Fernandez in Boston. He's great as an OJI. He takes it super seriously. In other places, you got CCAs where like I don't even think the mentor at that station knows they're a mentor, right? Like, and they're just thrown to the wolves. And that's what I try to tell people about what the CCA position is like. That's how I sell the I can't remember which number it is, but the HR about the fair retirement thing where we can buy back our CCA time, because everybody outside of the NELC are horrified when they find out that you gotta work like a dog doing all the things a regular does with abuse, with half the union protections, paying full dues for 2 years before you even start your career. Everyone outside of the NALC hears that that's a non-career position and they are appalled, and they should be. We should be. So yeah, I hope I answered that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's your choice as well. How well you want to answer it. That's the whole point of this podcast. That's the point of an interview. But hey, this one's pretty simple. Will you pledge to be a voice for CCAs as an AFL-CIO delegate?
Yeah, and whether I don't give a shit if that position stays around for the next 10 years or if they get rid of it and they introduce something else that is just CCA light or CCA. Like we always joke, down here we joke that a PTF is CCA plus. It's like you're just paying for the non-commercial version of Hulu or something. Because it's the same. It's the same thing. They're always going to try to have that position, and until our union finds the stones, finds the guts, finds the teeth to get rid of that position, they might get rid of it and then just have something that is very similar, right? And until that, like I didn't even want to be a letter carrier. I got this job at the post office to be a mechanic on LLVs, but they pissed me off so goddamn bad when I got to my station. And the union was like, my steward was great, but like I saw all this potential that the union had that it wasn't living up to. That I was like, no, I'm going to stick around and be a letter carrier, and I'm going to just I'm going to stick around and be a problem for anyone that gets in the way of taking care of these new Jags. So that's something that is going to be a passion of mine throughout the rest of my career. If I live 10 years or 30 years, it don't matter. That's going to be a passion of mine. So,
all right. So you have criticized gatekeeping inside the NALC. What specific gate would you open first if it were your choice?
I think I've a lot of it is training based, right? A lot of it is training based. I haven't had a chance to check out this NALCU. That is kind of exciting when I saw that. I haven't had a chance to play around with it yet. Like for me, there's all sorts of different things. There are branches where the president appoints stewards. You can't even run a democratic election to become a steward. That is wild to me, right? That means that the president is in charge of anyone who wants to get involved. Like at my branch, we do elections, which is dope, but they won't send you to a training until you've already been elected. Well, that already makes it hard for you to get elected, because everyone's gonna be like, well, you haven't had the training. Why should we elect you? Well, if you elect me, I'll get the training, right? You see it's a loop, right? Like that sucks. I think right now, to bring up this point, because we are campaigning, I think established folk stepping aside We just saw Lindsey Graham die in office. Mitch McConnell's on life support. We had whatever that Democratic lady who was in her 90s die in office. And now we're repeating that in our own union. Like, here's the thing, Brother Shroom. I am not the next generation. The next generation is 23, bro. Like, the next generation is that PTF coming in after serving in the armed forces or after finishing college or after figuring out that they want a retirement later in life. That's the next generation. They're 23. I'm 41 years old and I am considered young. The reason people call me Badmouth is because people, when I showed up, because I got a industrial sector background and I can cuss like a sailor sometimes. They were calling me that badmouth kid this, that badmouth kid that. Bitch, I was 40 years old. I'm not a kid. I'm not even the next generation. We got a union of Obi-Wan Kenobis that are telling Luke Skywalker to sit down and shut up and wait his turn. You know what I mean? Like, be Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's important. But you don't need to be behind in the cockpit of that X-Wing, right? The next generation needs your connections, needs your support, needs your knowledge. And you get presidents who are great at what they do, but they don't lift up the next people. And then they retire, and the person who steps in has no clue what they're doing.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Han Solo, hands down. I got the blaster pistol right there. But yeah.
You'll never guess mine, man. What do you think?
Yeah. Lay it on me.
C-3PO.
Oh, dude. All right. I can see it. C-3PO is a good character. But to bring it back to gatekeeping in the Slate, that's why some of the other people running for these positions, they're branch presidents or they've been delegates for a million years and all that other stuff. It's gatekeeping to be the president of one of the largest branches in your state and then also run for this position.
Yep.
Why do you need another position that's greedy, oink, oink, piggy nonsense? That's a form of gatekeeping. Why do you need this other position that could easily go to someone else in your branch? If you want to run someone from your branch in this position, find some young cat at your position at your branch and promote them. Why do you, as a branch president of one of the largest branches in a state, also need this too? It's just, that's a form of gatekeeping, not getting out of the way, not stepping aside, not lifting up the people around you, not mentoring someone at your branch who you think could potentially replace you. And there's presidents who do that. There's stewards who do that. My steward, when I first came to the post office, Rodney Anderson, I got to shout him out. He's amazing. He kind of took me under his wing a little bit to help teach me how things happen in this area, right? That was cool. But that's a rarity in this union. So that's a form of gatekeeping I'd like to see end. Stop gobbling up all these positions. Stop showing up at trainings that someone else could go to and using your branch money for a training that you don't need. Send a young cat to that training.
All right, so we got two more for Badmouth specifically, and then we're gonna go into our last 5 questions. So we're in the home stretch. All right, so does the Badmouth approach, is that gonna help build coalitions, or could it make other delegates less willing to work with you?
Here's the thing with the Badmouth approach. I can be a bull in a china shop, admittedly. I have crashed out. I can be very funny and very poetic and very mean at the same time. I have this reputation, and I think what a lot of people miss is that with some of these people, I have done the diplomatic thing for at some point years before I finally had to be that bull in the china shop. If you talk to anyone who actually works with me, including members of the Slate, including like, I'll bring up the example of Brother Shelby at Arlington. Him and I have gotten in hollering matches at his branch, and he's our district rep for the state association. I ran against him at the state association and he won. The first thing I did is I walked over, I shook that man's hand, and I said, I appreciate what you're doing, and I would love to help in any way I can. And him and I have a good relationship now because even though we butted heads, we're able to do that. I work very well. That's my skill as an organizer is cheerleading. You can ask Margo about that one. And team building, putting together a crew because I can recognize in myself my weaknesses and my strengths, and I can see in someone else, you have this strength and we desperately need that, and I can cheerlead them into being a part of that. And I am very diplomatic and I can get along and work well with other people. My firebrand preacher nonsense and my getting on a tear and stuff like that, that is me cheerleading most of the time. That's very rarely directed at another person. And that is always something that, like, that's part of the reason why, like, I'm glad Margot's here because I can get on my badmouth method talking about something. And there's going to be people in your audience who listen to that and they're like, heck yeah. But there's going to also be people in your audience who are like, that guy's a prick. But Margot can say it right afterwards, say the same thing in the way Margot communicates, and they'll listen to that. And that's rules. I love that stuff. My skills as an organizer and what I bring to this type of thing, this is already work that I've already seen massive success in North Texas and in all sorts of other places. I'm already doing that work. The badmouth method works there because I can use that when I need to, but most of the time I am right there trying to cheerlead someone else and encourage them and be there for them. When someone needs help, you help them. And I don't know about you, but an obnoxious redhead who's being a firebrand, showing up at your picket line when you need someone to be loud, that's a useful thing, but I turn that off when I'm dealing with other people. There's a lot of people who work with me that can vouch for that because that is my skill is team building and building coalition, right? I got a couple people that very much disagree with that, but they can handle that. They are very specific people.
I'll vouch for him. I'll vouch for him. Even before we were on the slate together, there have been times where I'm like, look, I badmouth, I don't think anyone's gonna come to my meeting, and he's been like, oh well, why don't I just put you in touch with this guy, and and we'll get it worked out. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Yes, I'll vouch for him.
Nice. All right, one last question for you, Badmouth. What's your favorite postal podcast?
Let's see. While I have differing opinions politically, I mean, like, it's hard not to give Corey Walton props. Corey Walton, the politician, may not be my favorite, but Corey Walton, the educator, fucking love that. Yeah, right. Like, I started listening to from Eight Arbitration. I wasn't even out of my 90 days yet because management was so bad at my station.
You're ready to go,
Right.
motherfucker, and
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I've done union work and steward work in other unions, but getting to the post office, so it was one of those things where, like, I try to tell anyone who's a prospective steward, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. You know the difference between right and wrong. You know when you're getting screwed with. All you got to do is find the contractual language on how to build a case for that. With the post office, I didn't know about the J camp. I knew about a bunch of other stuff. So I was listening to it. That's great. I think I appreciate the way you do your interviews because I have bad ADHD. So the rapid fire just question after question works for the way I take in information. Alan Gigax and Mike Brazenly do a great job. Next gen, even though I'm kind of a perennial guest, so that might be a little flatulating. Self-flatulating, is that the one where you hit yourself, fart yourself?
Yeah,
Or...
flagellating is the opposite of what you're trying to say.
Okay, yeah. Whatever.
Self-aggrandizing.
yeah,
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, no, I think that's great. One of I gotta say, just because Omi's my dude. Omi is doing a really important thing right now with the CBU podcast where she's translating like heat training and translating the M41, and she's translating documents into Spanish, which if you are a carrier like down in the valley in South Texas or a carrier in like Southern California or a carrier in Puerto Rico, Spanish is going to be your first language, right? And like you can't use those translations to write grievances, but a carrier can read those translations and they might understand things better in that translation than trying to translate it in English. So I'm gonna say my favorite one is Omaira Acevedo, and her Spanish language translation, because I think that's a really important thing that our union should have done a long time ago. To be fair, it shouldn't just be one badass lady in Austin, Texas, doing it in her free time.
Yeah. Thank you, Omi.
Shout out to Omi. CBU is an awesome podcast.
Yeah. Omi's pretty cool. We're most of us are on a WhatsApp with her. She's pretty cool.
Her and I are cut from the same cloth. She's just as fiery and ready to fight as I am, and so like we'll have to like try and calm each other down sometime. I love that kid. She's awesome.
Okay, so this is now the last 5 questions, and then I'm going to wrap it up like always, and ask you what you would like to add, like I would in any objective investigative interview. But first, the last 5 questions, and I'll let you guys decide who amongst yourselves should answer this, and you could answer it jointly because these are interesting questions. What is the biggest disagreement between the two of you?
Ooh, what's the biggest disagreement between the two of us?
Yep.
What do you think,
Honestly,
John?
honestly, I think it's also our strength in working together because I think Margo is too gosh darn nice sometimes, and
It's my
I think
downfall. It's my weakness.
and like this was something early on, again, to go back to the cheerleading thing. Margo is brilliant. She's charming.
Stop.
She has a shut up. Let me be nice. She has a background, like her background in politics is something that I don't have, but I see the value of, even if it's I guess a non-traditional skill set to use in how the NALC does stuff. Margo, when I first started talking to her, she can sometimes have a little habit of imposter syndrome and not think that she's like great at stuff, and that's freaking annoying because it's like, no, bitch, you got this. Like you got this. You just need to like own it. Like me, I got more confidence than I probably should have, and then Margot's like on point and needs some of the confidence that I probably shouldn't have. You know what I mean? So it's something where like we've gotten in arguments and disagreements where I'm like, bro, you got this. You just got to do the damn thing. Don't sit around waiting for a perfect plan. Just, it's like a road trip. If you're driving to New Orleans, you know you need to head east. Get on the highway headed east and figure out the details along the way. And that's something that I think that's probably the only thing we've really argued about, is me trying to get it through your thick skull that you got this nonsense.
I'm working hard at learning that every single day, and I appreciate you for all the help that you provide me.
All right. So you guys can each answer this separately if you feel like, but name one candidate that would typically be considered an opposition candidate. Obviously, you don't have a whole lot of AFL-CIO delegates coming and running, but in general, like there is many different slates. There's the CLC. There's this new one. There is the potential regular establishment slate if that decides to happen. Name one person you consider an opposition candidate, but at the same time who you respect, and explain the reason why you respect them.
So I'm not even going to say that I oppose, but I have somebody in mind, and this person is an amazing person, somebody that I met at Labor Notes, somebody that I look up to very, very much, and her name is Sima Lean. She's not running as a part of our slate, but I am such a huge fan of Sima Lean. She is also a table 2 carrier. She has got her heart Her heart is with the working class, and she's very strategic. She knows all the things. I love Simoline. And so I want to boost Simoline. I want I want to boost Simoline, and I want to see her go places.
Okay. What about you, John? Do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, I mean, like, Simoline was one of the first people we thought of for this slate, actually. And like it didn't end up working out. Uh my issues with Simoline that I've ever had are the same issues other people have with me. Is sometimes like we can be like a dog with a bone. And like it's something where it's one of those things. If I can get Simoline and me on the same page, I know we can tear it up, right? But like you just sometimes that doesn't come together like that. So I look forward to getting to vote for C. Moline. And then I got to say a nice thing because I know everyone's waiting for me to be a jerk about a certain other slate, but there's someone running for this delegate position for on the CLC slate, and that's Ethel Bibbs. She still carries mail. I don't know how involved she is in the labor movement outside of this, but I've met her. She's a very sweet person, and she's just rad, and I have a lot of respect for her. I know people accuse me of just being a big dumb jerk all the time, but I also want to bring up I think Ethel Bibbs rules. Whether I vote for Ethel Bibbs or C. Moline, um, I'm gonna try and see which one will buy me a beer at convention first. So, yeah. I think those two, as far as the people we know who are running, those two would be, yeah, I think are both great picks.
All right. So, is there any promise that you guys are willing to make tonight that listeners can decide to replay 4 years from now and say that you've made true on that promise?
I promise to do what I can to protect and support the rank and file of the NALC.
All right.
I promise that by next convention we'll have some resolutions out there to actually give some duties to this position to make sure that it actually is a position, like an actionable position with actual duties and actual things to do to support the letter carrier. We can't afford the ceremonial nonsense anymore. This needs to be something where there are duties and you have to be active. You can't sit at whatever position you already have before you got this one for 4 years and then go on a vacation for 3 days. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Not when table two is struggling as bad as it is. We can't table two can't afford that their dues money goes to something that's just trivial. It's it's shameful that we have a trivial position. And I promise that there will be resolutions by next convention to actually give some teeth and actually make this position one that is a position of importance rather than ceremony.
All right. Uh, can any of you guys complete this sentence? Do not vote for the stand-up slate
Margo,
Unless
lead it off.
Do not vote for the stand-up slate unless you want to see a couple, I guess six, a couple of rowdy kids representing you at the AFL-CIO convention.
Yeah, don't vote for the stand-up slate unless unless you actually unless you actually want people who remember the last letter they put in a mailbox and remember the last picket line they were on and remember what it feels like to have sweated your ass off all day for overtime just to barely make ends meet or put food on the table.
All right. Um, is is there any questions you guys were hoping that I would not ask tonight?
I didn't encounter anything that I didn't feel like I had an answer for.
No, I mean, is there anything you were hoping I would not ask?
Oh. Hmm.
I was hoping you would not ask me about pro wrestlers because it's really hard for me to choose. Yeah, modern stuff. Anxious Millennial Cowboy. And then from AEW. And then Legacy, Mick Foley. The best finishing move is the Stone Cold Stunner, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
I'm
Macho
glad
Man
you didn't
Randy
ask me about
Savage,
pro
man.
wrestling either, because I don't know nothing about it. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know
I
the
had
first
like
thing.
six others too. I was just going to talk about how wholesome John Cena was, even though I wasn't a big fan of his as a wrestler. He's just a wholesome guy, so it's hard to not say John Cena.
But we all know Macho Man's the best one, of course.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Oh, and dude, like it's hard not to just love Macho Man Randy Savage. Like yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He's the cream of the crop, of course. So just like any other objective interview, we do have to ask: is there anything else you guys would like to add?
Yeah, our platform is a 32-hour work week with no loss in pay, universal health care, an independent political party for workers, and what's the fourth one? I always remember three and I can't remember the fourth. The
you got paid parental leave, or is that under healthcare?
That's under universal health care. It's
Okay,
the
independent party. Oh, this is embarrassing. Uh, I lean hard. So it's one of those things where everyone on this slate, like we have our own pet project. I lean
Yeah.
hard, honestly, into the anti-war one.
Trillionaires shouldn't exist.
Oh yeah, trillionaires shouldn't exist. That's one of those ones I always forget it because it should be goddamn obvious.
It should be
If
obvious.
if you if you're struggling to eat, I don't think people understand how much money $1 trillion is. Like it's insane that someone would have that much money, but then there are people that can't feed their families no matter how much they work,
So
right?
I've used this on a podcast before. So think of it in terms of time. So 1 million seconds ago was about 2 weeks ago. 1 billion seconds ago was about the mid 90s. So that's before I was born. So 1 trillion seconds ago is like humans had not invented writing yet. That's like over like thousands of years ago. So yeah. So people, yeah, that is one thing. People do not realize how many a trillion is because it's one of those things that you can't comprehend in the human brain. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
said you said you weren't manufactured by the mid '90s. How old are you?
No, no, 97.
God damn
97.
Oh,
it.
okay, I was
Yeah.
I think
manufactured in '91.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Or
people
about a
still
million
call
seconds
me a
ago.
kid, and I'm 1984.
Wow.
You're
Uh,
you're you're young at heart. You're young at
yeah, yeah,
heart.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all that clean living. Um, yeah, I think probably the hardest one for us to talk about, because I know you asked that question earlier, that some people get a little wound up about, like the 32-hour work week is probably the most pie in the sky one on it. One of the things that it's part of the because I think it's really important, part of the like paid parental leave and healthcare. How are we going to pay for that? Well, the AFL-CIO already has a movement in it. We would like to support that into stopping all these stupid ass wars. Because I was in high school during 9/11, and I had friends. My best friend went over to fight and never came home. And like I have worked with Veterans for Peace, and I talk to vets all the time about this stuff. Why do we keep all of our prices and our cost of living is going up right now because some dickhead decided to start a fight over here with another dickhead for some dickhead CEO's bottom line. 6,000 miles away, they want someone who grew up where their best options were Dairy Queen, the military, cooking meth. And they took the military because they were trying to do the right thing and do the right thing for them and their family. And we want to send them over 6,000 miles away to die for some CEO's bottom line while their family back home can't feed themselves. That's nonsense. And we have this jingoist nonsense that started in after 9/11, where if you don't, every military person knows that the troops are used as a prop by both the Democrats and the Republicans, and war hawks in both the Democratic and Republican parties. This is not an issue that's but just one, right? But support our troops somehow meant if you don't support war, you don't support our troops. I can't think of a better way to support our troops than not have them die for a CEO's bottom line and make sure they have a good life to come home to.
Well,
I talk to OJIs and trainers all the time who say, well, in the last 10 years, the amount of vets in our classes has gone down to a trickle because there's nothing for our veterans. As a CC, you're going to work, you're going to be in the military, finish your service and come back and be a CCA at the post office. I can't think of a more insulting thing to have to come home to.
hey, do you mind if I highlight something real quick?
Yeah.
While you're on this point, I think it's important to note it's probably not a coincidence that the suicide rate in veterans is high, but also the suicide rate in mail carriers is high. And more particularly, we do have a lot of veterans working as mail carriers. I think that is not a coincidence.
Yeah, because it used to be a thing. Like talking to my veteran buddies, it used to be a thing where like because you could get in after serving, you can get in and buy your time back, so then you get to retire earlier. And like there's like I think we have 9 CCAs at my office, and 3 of them are veterans, and that is a big selling point for them. But I talk to OJI instructors. I talk to people that do the driver's training, and some of my veteran buddies, and they're like, "Yeah, it used to be 3/4 of the class were veterans." Like I don't have the numbers, but talking to all of them, they're like, "No, it's way down." And I talked to some of my buddies who got done serving, and like they don't want to go work for a private security firm. They don't want to work as a consultant for BlackRock and some private military like evil, hateful nonsense. But that's the only way that they can translate their skills to put food on the table. We improve conditions for the letter carrier. That can be the option, serving a community, something they come home for.
Yep.
I can't think of a better way to support our troops than end these stupid ass wars. And we can use the money we save on that to start building trains, to start like infrastructure. I work down here in North Texas, and it's a very contentious thing because if you work for the trades, if you're an electrician or a machinist, you get 5 of those guys in a room, and 3 of them have worked for or currently work for Lockheed Martin. But they can get work building trains, building facilities, right? Like it's something the AFL-CIO was already doing. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to save the world. It's something the AFL-CIO is already doing. We would just like to help them with that effort.
Okay. Any last words before we wrap it up?
Solidarity.
Yeah. Solidarity forever. If someone needs help, you help them. Please ask your branch president and your delegates to support us at convention. And you can always reach out to me on Facebook if you want to have a phone call or something like that. I'd love to shoot the breeze. And we appreciate you, Brother Shrum, for having us on, letting us talk shop.
Well, tell Chris he's overdue for a podcast with me. I thought he'd be on. He was supposed to be on a different episode, and of course he didn't have time, and he was planning on it. But this is his reminder. You need to reschedule that.
Just text him the words "ranked choice voting," and I guarantee you, it's something.
Independent Party for Workers, he'll be there.
Yeah, he'll ignore. I won't hear from him for days. He won't respond to my message for days. But if I send him a message that I know he's good, like ranked choice voting, my phone's ringing within 2 minutes. So send him a text message just says ranked choice voting, and suddenly he'll remember.
That was good having you guys on. I see we did probably make the 2-hour mark, but that's okay.
I mean, there's two of us this time, so
Yeah.
like that's not too bad. I was like maybe an hour, and I was like, oh shit, there's two of us answering questions. So
Well, you guys have a good one.
thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.
If these guys are getting educated, we will be in big trouble.
Management's been weighing you down like a bag of wet catalogs, but you don't gotta take it. You strap on the elbow of education, dig it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God, we need Article 8 scholars right now. The Grievous Genius and the Roseville Wrecking Ball doing amazing work.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the Mailman's Playbook, brother.